Alright, today I'll be showing you how to do a Hackintosh Windows 8 Mountain Lion. So I've already partitioned my hard drive on an actual Mac. You can do this on from a Mac installs DVD, but I have an actual Mac and it was easier to partition that way. So we'll go ahead and get started with the Windows 8 installation. So when this Hackintosh will be done, it'll be an HP G72 with an Intel Pentium T4500 dual core running one third Windows 8, 1/3 Ubuntu, and 1/3 Mac Mountain Lion. So I'm gonna go ahead and enter my product key. Alright, the product key that I'm using is actually just a test key, so you can use this for a limited time, but you just go in to the registry and edit it and make it last longer. You can extend your grace. So I don't have an actual product key, so I'm just using it as a test period. So blah 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 blah, accept terms. We do custom install. As you can see, I've already partitioned it, so we have a one called Untitled 2, which we're going to be installing Windows on. Then we have this other 140 gig partition, which we're going to put Mac on, and a 20 gig backup, which we actually have the Mac install on here, so we'll be installing all from hard drive when it comes to Mac. So this guy right here, we're going to format him. Okay, we're formatted and ready to go. And from here on out, it's pretty easy. The system will install Windows. So this is when it can get a tad bit hairy, but nothing too confusing. Okay, so as you know, Windows uses an NTFS file system, and OS X uses the HFS plus file system. So what you're going to need to do so you can access your Mac on your Windows partition is you're going to need to download Mac Drive. I got the Pro trial because I'm really not going to be using Windows. And to show you how this works, what you're also going to need for this part of the video is you're going to need the actual, I'm using the iAccos, I'm just using the distro, quick easy install, is the actual iAccos NL2 DMG file. We're going to take him, we're going to copy him to the desktop. Here in a second, once we copy him to the desktop, we're actually going to convert him to an ISO, which is not very hard to do using this little tool. So pretty much what you would do, you would say C user admin downloads DMG to ISO or DMG to IMG 106.1.2 blah 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 blah. You would right click and say open up command prompt here, and you would at this window first you would drag, get rid of this guy, you would drag this guy into the command window. So you would take him and you would drag him over, and then you would drag your disk image. As you can see, I said users admin document iAccos ml2.dmg, and after that the syntax is program original file, then file destinations. I said users admin document iAccos ml2.iso. So as you can see, it is converting all the little different partitions inside of the DMG, making it the ISO. And after that ISO is finished, we'll proceed with the Mac OS X installation. Alright, so if all goes well, you should get this screen right here saying everything has been completed successfully. Alright, so now we're going to open up EasyBCD, which is a bootloader editor for Windows. Now this is what I'm going to do a little bit of explaining. What's cool about the Apple technology, so Apple, when they have their operating systems, what's really cool is, so say you have a couple different partitions. Say you have your Macintosh and then a recovery. So you can actually make another partition and take one of their disk images and do what's called a restore to the disk and have a full-fledged bootable disk with the entire operating system on there, which is really cool. So on my Mac, when I partitioned it, I partitioned one as a recovery, one is a Windows partition, it was originally FAT32, then we formatted as NTFS, as you saw, to make the Windows install. And now we're here with another Apple partition, HFS Plus journaled for Mac. So what we're going to do is we're going to say we're going to add a new entry. We're going to add ISO. So we're going to come over here. As you can see, we take a converted image. open. We're going to say, you can call it whatever you want, but I'm going to stick with the original name. Hackintosh ML2. Alright, so we're going to say add entry. So it's going to start to try to defrag the ISO if it finds any fragmentation with it or whatever. So once this gets done, we'll have two different boot options whenever the machine starts. So whenever we have the machine starting, we'll have a Windows boot. We're going to have a Hackintosh L2 boot also. After we proceed with the install of Mac OS X, we will install Ubuntu. So we'll have a three-way booting computer. The defragmentation can take some take some time depending how big the ISO is. Alright, now that the defragmentation is done or whatever, we're going to go check to make sure everything's there. So you can see Windows 8, that's your default. Entry 1, Windows 8, it's going to boot that, and then entry 2 is the ISO, which is great. So we're all good and ready to go. So we're going to go down here, click the little gear, power, restart. May take a second. Just ignore that battery shot in the computer. It will start up originally as the original Windows bootloader, so this is normal. Now this is when it's going to change. So you're going to come up to this menu. As you can see, there's two different options now. You got Windows 8, and then you've got Hackintosh ML2. You're going to click him, and the computer's going to restart again. And if anybody knows how to disable that in the BIOS, please let me know, because that is very annoying. Alright, so you can see we're starting up that ISO from the actual computer. Now, this is what we're fixing to change over. So you can see we're using the CDR, or what they call the CDR, but it's actually a DVD image. And we're going to tab over here to the Hackintosh ML2 partition. Alright, so this is a Hackintosh, not an actual Mac, and not even anything anywhere near close to Apple hardware. We have to use boot flags. So we're going to do CPUS equals 1, and that's telling the processor, I want you to boot with one processor only, because this has two in it, two logical processors. So just use one so this doesn't cause a kernel panic. We're going to say -V, which means be verbose. So we're going to see what it's going to say behind the bootloader. So normally this would start up with the little apple and then the circular waiting Darwin circle, whatever you call it, on the Darwin boot screen. And then this won't happen. It'll have this cool text looking thing, so actually we can see any bugs that happen. We're going to say, you know what, we're not going to do any graphics enabling right now. We'll just boot normal. So it's going to switch over to the partition. And this should boot really, really quick because it's booting from the partition instead of an actual install DVD. So as you can see, it's telling you all the different things it's doing. Talking about creating RAM disks and stuff like that. As you can see, that whine, that beep noise you're hearing, for some reason whenever they try to emulate the hardware for OS X on a PC, it causes the microphone to turn on, and it causes a really loud whine. So I have a pair of earphones that's here for backup, and so basically quick fix for this, plug in the headphone jack, voila, it stops whining. Alright, so we're going to use English as our main language, obviously. Okay, what's cool is we're not going to have to play with any partitioning or anything. We can just proceed to the installation. But if you did, you would go up here and click Disk Utility. I'm going to go ahead and show you while we're here. Since this right here is actually a copy of the image of the disk, so it has all the boot information, all that, the whole install DVD as a partition, and then Windows, and then my Hackintosh partition. So X out of here. You can read all this if you want. I'm not going to. It just talks about how this is made for non-Apple computers and stuff like that. we're going to pick the Hackintosh and partition, and
now, here comes the music. Here comes the music.